With over 1 million apps out there, not every one of them is worth your time or your money. But let's find out where excellence lies. What do we catch, and what do we release when we go hunting with an app trap? Hey everybody, Macktion here, and 80 Days is a strange game to be sure. It is solidly an RPG because you do take all kinds of actions as, Mr. Fogg's valet. Honestly, I can't pronounce half of the names, so I will exercise the good sense to not slaughter anybody's. In this large quest to go around the world in 80 days. Automobiles, trains, dirigibles, ships, and giant steampunk-style walking mechs. Now, the best way to describe 80 Days is as a choose-your-own-adventure book brought to digital life as a game. Perhaps we should call it a game book. Now, the core mechanics are fairly easy as there are only a few things to keep track of. The health of Mr. Fogg, the quantity of days, and the money on hand. Of course, what game involving travel would be complete without luggage management? And there is an additional role-playing mechanic of the game that is evidenced in your actions. You can seemingly change your character's main traits, bouncing from well-heeled to suave and others. It's a little tough to explain, but as you see the clips, you'll know what I'm talking about. This also tends to improve or deteriorate your relationship with Mr. Fogg, depending on your choices. Now, of course, you never really gain more time, but if you need more money, you can spend some time waiting around in a major city for the bank to give you money. As Mr. Fogg once put it, "You didn't think that all of my money would be sitting in a carpet bag that I handed to you, did you?" Now, when you think about it, the original concept of circumnavigating the Earth as presented by Jules Verne in the book isn't so much a marvel of speed, but a marvel of logistics. If it were merely about taking a balloon around the world, it would be much less interesting than the triumph of risk and reward in travel. And the game captures this concept very well, extremely well, from the decisions at each stop to the misadventures that befall you. Difficulty is a really hard thing to assess in 80 Days. It honestly almost seems non-existent, but it does well instill a sense of wonder. The game feels less geared towards a challenge as it does toward discovery, and there are very few choices that seem to punish you. Rather, they feel like it's merely an alternative, and even when you fail to arrive in time in London, you feel much more intrigued by the discovery of the game and the content anew than by the challenge to recomplete it. Much like real life, there's so much content across the world map that it's tough to feel like you even have a schedule to keep. Some of the fun trade-offs in the game include talking to fellow travelers to gain insight into new routes, or tending to Mr. Fogg to keep his health up while traveling. Because if Mr. Fogg's health is too low, he may be unwilling to carry on the next leg of the voyage, and then there you are, stuck in St. Petersburg till his health improves. And wouldn't you know it, you just missed the train from St. Petersburg to Vladivostok. Probably for the best anyway, because as it turns out, Vladivostok is under martial law at the moment, a great hint I picked up from conversing with a soldier on the train. And then the last thing to say is the graphics has a pretty good, if simplistic, style. Mostly silhouettes, but a very smooth visual experience all in all. Perhaps my biggest issue with this game is that the sound design was a bit off. When traveling, the background noise is rather omnipresent, but once you get to a city, you have a moment of chatter followed by mostly silence. It would have been better to keep the sound levels roughly the same throughout because it starts to call attention to itself after a few in-game days. There is one other mechanic that you will not see here, but it is a feature that's implemented, and that is the ability to race fellow players with a live updating map that includes the locations and paths of other players. Not having any friends that were playing at the same time, it's not a feature that I show here, but it is noteworthy. Now, if you feel like you need to get a better idea of how the game operates, I have a 1-hour, 30-minute video linked on the video here, as well as in the description, where I do succeed in getting most of the way across Russia. I highly recommend this game, and at the end of the refund window, I actually refunded it, only to repurchase it the next day. The more and more I thought about the game, the more I really liked what it did. It was well worth the money as a brilliant example of storytelling in video games, not to mention casual games, so it's certainly a keeper. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed, and if you have, a comment or a like goes a long way. Clicking on any of the videos will take you to a corresponding playlist for conventions, reviews, tutorials, and even Android games. And be sure to be subscribed so that you will be notified of new videos as they come out. Thanks again, and I'll see you around.